Welcome to the second episode of The Worst with Chad Austin. Today I have with me Sam Bosson, and that is my second Sam in 2 episodes. So, I mean, I'm going to try to just keep this going.
You got to keep it going.
You know, I don't know that many more Sams, but I do know a couple female Sams, some Samanthas.
Yeah.
And,
they're all Sams.
So, you know, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just let it ride. It's just... You know, it's going to be the worst with Chad and Sam, and the Sam's just going to rotate every time to confuse the fuck out of everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
so,
Oh, there we go.
yeah,
Like this.
yeah.
There we go.
Just like
Awesome.
just like
Just the way
in
it
college.
needs to be. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, we're gonna just shoot the shit today. I'm gonna let Sam introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his accolades as an adult man in the music industry.
Put me on the spot like that.
Yeah, I am, dude. Let's do this.
Drummer mostly, guitar player sometimes. Lots of bands, lots of years doing it. It's really fun, but I miss it right now.
I bet.
We can get into that, but yeah. Also worked in the service industry. You know, in between all that, worked. Now I make tie-dyes for a living, which is instead of playing music, that's an interesting turn of events for me. But yeah, been in a bunch of bands, went on tour a lot, have a lot of funny stories from that. Which
we'll definitely get into.
I'm from here in LA. I grew up on the west side.
Just because I know that, you know, nobody pays. I'm sorry to say this, but nobody really pays attention to the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell some of these people, some of the bands that you've been in?
Yeah. I toured a lot when I was really young with a band called Trash Talk, which like we initially bonded over randomly.
Yeah.
But that was that took up like 5 years of my life pretty much straight, and was awesome. I love those guys still to this day, and like I loved the time that I spent in the band. Lots of like little hardcore bands before that.
Yeah.
I was in a band called Pressure for a while that played shows, and that's kind of what led me into being in that band Trash Talk. I started a band called Condition that I played guitar in with. That was like the first band I ever played like guitar in, which was really fun. We did a bunch of tours as well. Been in a band called Blazing Eye. It's still kind of a band, but never really broke up. I also play guitar in that.
Oh, okay.
I sang in a band called Lock. That was a hardcore band.
According to Metal Archive, you also played bass in that band. Is that true?
Whoa, really?
Yeah. It said bass and vocals.
Whoa. Did not play bass.
Yeah, dude, I looked you up.
That's cool. The archive stuff is funny because they can be wrong, as we know, as we're seeing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Discogs page that I've looked at for myself is patchy and also kind of funny. You know, there's like stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I played on that. Like I was in a band called Skin Like Iron that did one record that always pops up when I look at that. They were from the Bay, and they were that was like a super fun record to be a part of, but literally just played on the record and then never played with them again. I was in a band called DNF. That was like a power violence style band from down here that I played bass in. So that's funny that like maybe they got confused with that. But
what DNF stand for?
We were kids when we started the band.
I'm ready for it.
It initially stood for Duke Nukem Forever.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Because if you know about Duke Nukem Forever, it was the one that didn't come out.
Yeah.
And so our joke was like, well, since the game's never going to come out, we'll just call ourselves Duke Nukem Forever. And then it eventually did actually come out.
That's awesome.
Which is funny. But yeah, and then when we did a pretty failed attempt at trying to take ourselves more seriously and shortened it to DNF, thinking that it would work. It didn't really. Yeah. People were like, "Oh, Duke Nukem, dude!
Dude, you guys are Duke Nukem?"
Yeah. So that was a fun band too. More recently, I played in a band called Kommand. It's a death metal band that I played drums in.
That's what you're doing now, right?
It's mostly what I'm doing now, and like a lot of what I've done since leaving Trash Talk is filling in for lots of bands, like playing in the place of a drummer for X amount of time, also playing in like place of like guitarists and bassists too.
You were a touring drummer for Ceremony, right?
Yeah, did some tours of Ceremony most recently, kind of before the world fell apart.
Yeah.
And played with Power Trip for a long time, about a year.
Rest in peace, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude, seriously,
crazy. Like, we talk about like people talk about like the pandemic's like toll, of the actual people who have been affected from the actual, the actual virus itself.
Yeah.
But then there's the other toll of people whose life were affected by it, and then couldn't handle.
Yeah, it's
a different reality.
I mean, it breaks. It's broken a lot of people I know emotionally. I mean, I can't say that I haven't been affected by it.
Right.
Like certain days and certain weeks longer. It fucks with your head just not being able to do what you enjoy doing.
Totally.
And just being told by somebody else that you don't even know.
Right.
You can't do this.
Right. Or just like the fear of the fear of like the thing that I do that I like more than anything else in the world, that it like I identify with, that is like my whole life and personality and everything I know is like modeled around, for instance, like playing in a band. And to the idea that doing that could potentially get someone sick or hurt yourself or someone you love, it's really hard to deal with, and like the idea of like not touring for a lot of people is like, it's really fucking with them, like, and a lot of, not just the people in the bands, but like all of my friends who are like crew guys, booking agents, tour managers, like the other people, they're hurting more than the bands are sometimes, which makes the whole thing's just a mess.
Well, but there's like camaraderie in live music,
Totally.
And like you can become good friends with somebody that you've never met, just in the same vicinity as you, because you're singing along to the lyrics at the same time, or it just.
I think there's something about the exchange with for extrapolating it like this, like the exchange between the performer and the audience, like people get addicted to that.
Oh yeah.
And like people in the bands like rely on that as like an emotional crutch for whatever. Like it's just it becomes a part of their life so intensely that if you take it away, that's like really hard on a lot of people, and I think like that exchange is what gets a lot of artists through, whether they realize it or not. And I remember like stopping touring seriously, and it's not the amount of like, meaningful exchanges with random people that I would have like dropped.
Yeah.
And I felt a little bit of like withdrawal from that.
Oh,
so like, if you take it away completely, of someone who like only has been touring for X amount of time,
years. Yeah.
That's like really hard on a lot of people. And, I think what I've noticed with a lot of my friends and with everybody in my life, regardless of what they do, is that everyone's taken stock of what's important in their life over the last year, and it's really hard when you're taking stock and the things that you find important, you just can't simply cannot do.
No, it's
gnarly.
It's wild. Like, I mean, when it comes to me with this whole thing, I was doing, I was bartending and, doing, open mic stand up whenever I could.
Right.
But the job that I had taken over so much of my time that I didn't really have a chance to get out too much.
Right.
But it was okay at the time because being behind the bar, I still kind of had a stage.
Right.
Because I always had people in front of me.
Yeah, you're holding court.
And I could roast the drunk guy.
Yeah.
And I could just talk shit with a few other people over here, like, and have almost an inside joke with them, and then pull back and
and you get it.
You can work the room, which was it's always my favorite part of it, because it's just being behind a bar for so long.
Yeah.
I think that at least like my stronger suit right now, being a very much so a novice at stand-up, is crowd work. Like, just because I've been doing it for so long without even realizing it.
Totally. You've honed these skills of dealing with people who, and it's exchange, right? Like there's like a little bit of like give and take between like, the performer and the audience.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like there is an interesting part of that, because like when I was tending bar for like the small time that I did, I would notice this as well. And this was like, Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings during the daytime shift.
Yeah.
But like, so it's not exactly the same, but like even still, I would notice like when you add alcohol as like a factor in the exchange, the stakes go up.
Oh.
You know, and the exchange is so weird.
100%. And one of my favorite things to do used to be to just super fucking gaslight drunk dudes.
Yeah.
Where they'd walk up to me and they'd order a drink, and then I'd walk away for a few minutes and I'd do something, and then I could just right when they ordered the drink, I could see their level of intoxication.
Right.
So a couple minutes later, when they go, "Hey man, where's my drink?" I already gave it to you. And dude, you had it in your hand just a minute ago.
I'm sure that worked
where did you
pretty well.
set it down?
Yeah.
And it's like that meme where all the question marks pop up around the guy's head. He's just like,
wow.
Shit, did I really do that?
Yeah, and I've been there before.
Dude,
not exactly that way, but like if someone's like, "Dude, this thing," and you're like, "Oh."
I mean, it just like, especially at the end of the night when
yeah.
everyone's drunk and starting to be a little bit more of an asshole.
Right.
I mean, it's just so much more fun to fuck with people. I can't tell you how many times, because you know how everyone thinks that people that don't have tattoos think that every tattoo has a meaning.
Oh, dude, what does this one mean?
So, I mean, this girl on my hand has absolutely no meaning. In
Right.
fact, when I got it, in my mid-20s, I got it simply because I was a fucking pushover and my best friend's a tattoo artist, and I wanted a fucking black rose on my hand, and he was like, "Let's do a girl." And
Dude,
without even hesitating, I was just like, "Yeah, okay, let's do a girl."
Like, you want the girl.
I was like, "Okay, sure, why not?"
I want to do the girl.
I'll do the girl. So, but now, and at first, Cody, I was kind of pissed off, but I got over it because it has become such a great tool in my arsenal, because people ask, "Oh, who is that?" And then I'll just I'll just somberly just look at them and be like, "It's my wife. She's no longer with us."
Oh man.
And the look on their faces,
especially
because
if
they were the one that brought it
Right.
up, and then I can either just walk away and just let them dwell on that, or depending on how hard it hit them, I'll tell them I'm fucking with them. But it's, it's one of those things.
It gives you options.
It really does.
Options, yeah.
I have a window, and right there in that moment is when you get to decide how good you get to play it.
Totally.
And it's always fun.
You're a gambler too.
I like to take risks. My bosses in the past have always said that it's what's gotten me in trouble the most is, I mean, I know that the shit that I say can get me in trouble, but also there's that gut feeling.
Right.
That it might not be the person that I'm speaking to that laughs, but it might be the whole group around them.
Right.
And if I get that feeling, I'll still go for it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like candy sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget. Back in Palm Springs, I remember one night, this lady walks in and the bar's packed, and she comes up and she goes, "Let me get a Tito's and soda."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the middle making like 16 tiki drinks, and it's just wild.
Was that bootlegger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just looked up at her. I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't serve garbage alcohol here." And everyone around her laughed, but I could see that it just crushed her.
Yeah.
And
Dude, yeah.
So
manager's not happy about that one.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. So I poured her a couple of shots of the vodka that I had, and I just slid it to her. I was like, "Here, I'm sorry."
See, the alcohol helps the exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, smooths things over.
When she got booze for free just for looking sad, she felt a lot better. So, right. I mean, and then also, let's just shout it out. Happy International Women's History Day month.
Hey, that's great.
I brought my wife along with me, but in lieu of women's history, we're not letting her talk or be on camera. So yeah, dude. We're clipping that and we're putting that on the internet. Okay. I mean, what else is going on? I know you're doing tie-dye and stuff right now.
Yeah.
And you're doing that full time, right?
Yeah. So I work for a company called Online Ceramics. I kind of fell in with those guys about a little over a year ago. My friend Ross, who I met through the singer of Kommand, actually, Jesse,
okay.
Introduced us. And he was like, "I need somebody to help me tie-dyeing. I'm like losing my mind doing this by myself." And he taught me the ropes. And then the pandemic hit, and he was like, "I'm good. Like, I don't want to do this," and kind of just like he's a painter, so he's been living off of his paintings, which is actually sick.
That's dope.
Shout out to Ross Caliendo. Check it out. But yeah, like, it's been really fun. It's something I never thought I would do in a million years, because I'm not like, you know, my art is not like visual art usually, you know, and like that's not something that I've ever really thought of using as like a way to make a living ever. But and I also didn't think of the tie-dyes as visual art when I started. I was more just like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you realize they're all individual, and that's kind of the selling point. And like, you know,
each shirt's a snowflake.
It is, you know, and like you slap a Grateful Dead logo on that, dude.
Oh, I mean, that shit sells like a hotcakes, I'm sure.
They love it.
I mean, and I don't. I mean, maybe you can explain it to me because I know you're a Dead fan, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I just don't understand. Like, there's been a resurgence of like younger kids getting into the Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just because
these guys are part of it?
Is that just because of that, and then like, maybe you know the new version of the Dead touring and stuff, and with Mayer and everything?
So this is all connected. Like, Dead broke up when Jerry died in 95, but they kept playing the music. And I think what the guys in the band realized is like, well, first, I don't think they wanted the money train to stop because that was a chug-a-lugging down the track. But
Riding
also,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They realized that the music is bigger than just the band. Like there were like millions of people who like needed it,
dude.
You know,
it's
like
crazy.
Needed it, like because it was like a religion to them. So they could make different versions of the band, and then go out on tour, playing the music. It's all about the canon. You know, it's like jazz standards now.
Yeah.
You know, like anyone can play them as long as you play them with the little magic that people want, you know? And so like
absolutely.
When they started doing this thing that they're doing now called Dead and Company, which is like a few of the guys and then a few new people, one of which being John Mayer. So that's
I once drew a dick on his cappuccino.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
I was working at a very high-end hotel in Palm Springs, and the NDA I signed there should be null and void, so it's called the Parker Hotel.
There you go.
Because this was a long time ago, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And we had, as soon as you got hired there was like a 10-page NDA you had to sign because, I mean, there were just every celebrity just under the sun would stay there if they came to Palm Springs. I met Gary Oldman there.
Oh, cool.
Who I think he's badass.
Yeah. All the greats.
Natalie and I just watched the whole Hannibal series. Like, not the TV show, but all 3 movies.
Right.
And I didn't realize that. I don't know if you remember, but in the movie Hannibal, there is a guy that is there's a guy hunting Hannibal because Hannibal destroyed his face, basically.
Right.
And this guy, this guy is fucked up beyond belief. And I just found out today that was Gary Oldman too, just in a lot of prosthetics. But anyways, so John Mayer was staying at the Parker, and I had already put in my 2 weeks. I was almost done there. I think I had a week left. And I was serving him every day. And his group of friends were just Hollywood douchebags. The type where, right. the type where, you know, you go to drop off a drink and I have a cappuccino, and then they just don't even look up from their phone. They just expect you to set it down, and then they'll sort it out afterwards.
That's a really rough one.
Yeah, we can't even talk to the help right now.
I used to work on Larchmont, so I know.
No, dude. Yeah. But John was actually kind of funny. And every time I'd see him, he'd talk to me a little bit.
Right.
So we had a little bit of a rapport going.
Cool.
And I was always good at latte art. I worked in coffee for a while before bars, and even once I was in bars, I kept on working coffee occasionally.
Okay.
So I decided one morning when he came in for his breakfast, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna draw a dick on this fool's cappuccino.
How'd you do? Like, because like, you know, I could probably do like a pretty solid heart if you.
So that's basic. So basically, what I did was the heart, but then I just took toothpicks and I elongated the bottom. Toothpicks and I elongated the bottom.
Right.
And so I mean, there was like hefty balls and a really thin shaft.
Right. Did he like it?
So check this out. So our coffee machine was in the back room, and you know you have to walk through like the kitchen swinging doors to get out. And I remember I walked through the kitchen swinging doors right as the floor manager, this woman manager I had, she was walking past me, and she did one of those things as I was walking by where she looks over and she sees it and she looks at me, but I'm already out the door and I'm just like, I'm going for it.
Going for it.
And I dropped it off at his table, and he looks at it and he looks at me. He goes, "Sir, is that a penis?" And I said, as a matter of fact, John, it is.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me. He goes, "Bravo." And I walked away.
He's down.
Yeah, dude. John was cool as shit. And the man could play the fuck out of a guitar.
Dude, say what you want about John in whatever way. It's not really going to faze me, but I will go to bat for his prowess.
Dude,
it's rocking.
He can make all the ugly fucking faces he wants while he plays guitar because he is good at it.
Yeah, he's good. He's great. I mean, I've seen Dead & Company a handful of times now, and my first time going, I went with my mom, who was a Deadhead back in the day, and like has all the records from the 60s, still, and like she was very skeptical to see the new version with John, and like halfway through she nudged me and was like,
yeah, this guy knows his shit.
He's good.
Hell yeah, dude.
He's real. Yeah. I don't want him to sing as much in the band, hearing him do his yarl,
that like sultry whisper.
Yeah. We're here joking. That yarl made him a couple bucks.
Oh. Yeah,
he did it right though. Like he did like the Berklee School of Music. Like, I'm gonna just write pop songs that like crush.
Oh yeah.
Made a ton of money when he was a kid, and now he just does like whatever.
Now he does whatever he wants. He's like, I'm gonna do a full fucking country album. Fuck you guys. I'm gonna do a full blues album.
Fully.
Dude, Natalie and I watched this movie the other night that I'd never seen before, and it was so stupid, but it was just a fun watch while high. Get Hard with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart.
Didn't see it.
Okay,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's really not worth seeing. It was on HBO, and because of quarantine, we've been through the cycle of every fucking movie there is.
Yeah.
So put it on. And I mean, basic premise: Will Ferrell works for a stock firm. He gets blamed for something. They're gonna send him to prison, and he sees Kevin Hart at like the only black person he knows, and automatically assumes he's been to prison.
Of course.
So he hires him. He hires him to teach him how to be in prison. But there's a scene in the beginning where they're having an engagement party or something, and they invite John Mayer over to play.
Oh, hell yeah.
And he's standing there with his guitar in his hand, and he just leans into Will Ferrell right before he starts playing. He's all, "You want to see every woman in this room get wet at the same time?"
Oh my God.
And he just starts playing that song, Daughters.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
hey.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, see, this guy has a really fucking good...
He's got a good sense of humor. I mean, think about the Chappelle Show. Like, he was able to laugh at himself even back then.
Dude, I've seen him come to the Comedy Store and do sets with Dave Chappelle.
There you go.
Like, Chappelle used to show up all the time, and the thing about Chappelle showing up was he would show up and then he could be on stage for anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours.
Right. They would just let him go.
Yeah, because he's Chappelle.
Yeah.
So like, and most of the time it would be like belly room, like it's the smallest room upstairs, and they know that they're not really bumping anybody high profile like Bill Burr or anything for Chappelle to do a long set.
Right.
So they just put him up there, and he just sit on a stool, smoke cigarettes, and just talk.
Right.
Half the time they weren't even jokes. He just
go.
He just go.
Yeah.
It's like those little mini specials he's been releasing.
Oh, right.
Where there might be one or two jokes in there,
there's
but
like
he's really
train of thought.
Yeah, trying to tell his truth about shit.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he'd do. But like John Mayer would show up and
they would just fuck around.
They would riff back and forth, and John would bring a guitar, and it was fucking crazy. But yeah, he dude, good sense of humor and good banter, like good back and forth. With one of the biggest, best comedians in the world.
Right. And he has the confidence to be able to carry that through, and be believable.
Oh.
Which I think is also what people see with the Dead stuff. I don't think he's trying to fill Jerry's shoes, because if you talk to any Deadhead, like, that's not happening with anybody.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's the whole thing.
That's their God.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, but it's like, he, his confidence to be able to just be there and try his hand at what was going on, especially with the jam stuff, and be able to like shine some light on maybe like a little bit of what Jerry was doing.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge.
That's tight.
Yeah. And like, I never met him, but the other guys in the company have, and like, that's initially how we got in, was that like with Dead & Company. So we did like stuff for Dead & Company, and now they make stuff for Grateful Dead.
Oh,
like, so it's like come full circle, because they started off just like showing up to Dead & Company parking lots with like a couple t-shirts that they made.
Yeah.
And then like John was like walking through the parking lot and checking out like the gear, and he was like, "What's this?" and like met the guys.
No
and, like,
shit.
was like super cool to them. Just
That's tight.
and those guys are just like hardcore kids from the Midwest. They're from Ohio.
Oh,
like
fuck yeah.
they all just like grew up like going to hardcore shows the same as you or I. They're like they're like 30, so like they come from a similar generation of like stuff as we do, but they just also just got super into the Dead, and then like
that's right.
Snowball,
I want to touch back on something that you actually said earlier when we were talking about the bands was our first connection was over Trash Talk.
Right.
And, like I also mentioned that no one pays attention to the drummers. So I didn't know. So my buddy Jeffrey brings Sam to my bar.
Right.
And they're sitting at the bar and I'm working. And I happened to turn around to grab a bottle, and Sam looks at me and goes, "Is that a Trash Talk tattoo on the back of your arm?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "You know him?"
I was just drunk enough to just have it just come out of my mouth too. I was like, "Oh no shit."
He was like, "Yeah, you know him?" He's like, "Yeah, I was in the band." Like super casually, just like, I played drums in the band for five years, or whatever.
It's a hard one to say sometimes because and I wouldn't have said that unless I knew that like we were gonna have like a cool conversation about it, because otherwise like I just feel like I would come off like, oh yeah, well I used to play in the band.
Yeah, so basically you have me tattooed on your arm, you fucking fanboy.
No, but like I knew, and I saw the era of the logo.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's me. That's the era that I played during. So I was like, okay, cool. Like we're gonna have a good enough conversation about it. And if you're from Southern California, I would assume that we would have been in the same room multiple times. Without realizing it.
That's the crazy part too, because I started thinking about that. I was like, oh, dude.
Right.
Both from Southern California. We probably both went to the exact same places for shows. Probably the exact same shows.
Would you come to like Southern California from the desert, or not Southern California, but
every weekend,
like Inland Empire, or like
every
LA
weekend? Every weekend it was Showcase, Glass House Chain,
right?
Or even weekdays, because a lot of the time it was just like whatever day a show was, and because shows were so damn cheap to go to,
right?
But
also people traveled for shows.
Yeah,
I was thinking about this recently. As opposed, when I started going to shows, when I was in high school, I feel like it wasn't weird for me to like lie to my parents and drive to Riverside on like a Wednesday to go to like a gymnastics gym that someone had rented out to do a hardcore show where people got beat up. Like it was the weirdest set of circumstances. And if you actually like take a step back and look at what happens in like a lot of those hardcore shows, with like the setting, what's actually happened, the music, like dude, it's like people made a lot of crazy shit happen just to have a gig. It's insane to think about.
Between like the bands and the promoters, like the places that they would find.
Dude,
I remember crazy. I went to it was right when this band popped. Mm-hmm. Waking the Cadaver, like the pig squeals and everything.
Right. It's like brutal.
Yeah, super big thing at that time. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And they got a show in Riverside, and it ended up being at a school gymnasium. It was like Riverside High School, and
that's so crazy.
I kid you not, some crazy ass white supremacist dudes came up, and they tried to start a fight with a bunch of hardcore kids in the parking lot. And then when everyone walked inside to go to the show, they fucking took cans of bear mace, threw it inside the gymnasium, and then bolted the doors shut.
Dude, see, this is the kind of stuff that used to happen.
Yeah.
And we'd just be like, oh, darn. The white supremacists came to the show again.
I remember calling my friends. We called my friend's dad because he was a doctor, and he basically was, son, whoever has the best vision right now, go down to a local corner store and find some milk, and you just need to douse yourselves in that.
Right. I mean, but this is the thing. These are the kind of things that we would deal with back, not even more than 10 years ago, like now 15 years ago. Dude, I mean, I remember I've played a lot of crazy, weird places. Like, I feel like I played like I've played like tire shops and auto body shops like more than 5 times in my life.
Storage units?
I played a storage unit.
Yeah.
When I was playing drums for this band Merchandise for a couple of tours, their practice space was in a storage unit in Tampa, Florida. And that was such a funny like circumstance, because like it was like Tampa in May, and it was hot and sticky, and it made me made me think about and they were joking about this too. There's a famous video of that band Morbid Angel practicing in Tampa, where they're from, in a storage unit. I think this is like a thing that people do. Is like they would just like, there are no practice spaces. So you just fucking get storage units.
Well, that's what we did in the desert too.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, like I think Trash Talk had like a storage unit situation for a little while in Sacramento. I never lived in Sacramento also, by the way. The band was from Sacramento, but like we'd always go wherever we were in the world, you know. They'd be like, "Oh, you guys from Sacramento?" And I'd be like, "Not me,
nah, fool.
I'm from LA." But I would go to Sac like a lot during the early days. We had like a practice space in our friend Carl's garage, and Hot Carl would go by. And I wonder what Carl's up to, actually, now that I think about it.
Man, I haven't heard from Carl in a minute.
I haven't heard from Hot Carl in a minute, man. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like more funny places that I've played, because there's definitely been some weird ones.
Yeah,
there used to be a tire shop in like Huntington Park.
Yeah, that
would do gigs. That was gnarly. Like Blazing Eye played there a bunch of times, or a couple times, called Perez, and like crazy shit would go down there. There was like, I remember there were a lot of house shows in like Linwood, Compton area.
Oh, dude, so many house shows, dude.
Yeah, and like that doesn't happen. Like house shows don't really happen as much anymore.
No, I mean, back in the day, of course, I was more dialed into everything, but you see a flyer for a house show like once, twice a week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it would be probably the craziest show you'd go to like that year. Easily.
You know, I remember going to a house show where one guy's job in the band was just to constantly continue while the band was playing, make himself vomit over and over again. He just stood at the front of the stage, just putting his finger down his throat and making himself puke while they were playing.
That band DNF that I played in actually played a few house shows in like the Palm Desert area.
Oh, really?
Like, and I'm like, I think we played one in like Hesperia one time, but like also like, not Hesperia. What am I thinking of? Because that's not the same area.
No, but we got Thermal, we got Thousand Palms, we got
Thousand Palms maybe.
Thousand Palms had a lot of house shows.
Yeah, so there was like, and we played with this band out there, and I remember this so distinctly, called Death Valley Meth Lab. Do you remember this band?
Dude, I never saw them live, but I remember
stickers.
I remember seeing their stickers and their names on flyers.
Dude, yeah. So we were like 18. And DNF was like a shocking power violence band, you know, and like we would like throw dildos out into the crowd, like, you know, we wanted to sound like Spaz and Man is the Bastard and Neanderthal and Infest and stuff like that. Yeah. And we show up and we're like, dude, we're playing this band Death Valley Meth Lab. It's gonna be so raw. They're probably so sick. And like they go on before us. And they look they kind of sound like dystopia, like sad, like downtrodden crust, you know, like doomy crust vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Sad guy, like crust vibes. And the singer's microphone, he took it, he like brought like this duffel bag in front of the drum set and throws it down, opens it up, takes out a like Mossberg, like 12 gauge shotgun, like a huge shotgun that had been sawed off, and then he just like turns it like this and takes an XLR cable and plugs it into the bottom, and then I look at the top and there's a microphone like at the end of the barrel, and we were like, wait guys, are you seeing this? And the singer's microphone was a shotgun that he would sing into, and we were like, dude, this is raw. This is Death Valley Meth Lab. So we thought that was gonna be the funniest part of the night. But then
I'm so glad
the cops show up to bust the house show.
Yeah.
And our merch table is next to like their merch table, and the singer of Death Valley Meth Lab starts like freaking out because he's like, dog, we gotta get this. We gotta get my duffel bag out of here. My microphone's not registered.
Fuck, man.
And we were, dude, we were like, dude, shows out here are sick.
My microphone's not registered.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, he sawed it off, so that right there,
He used that.
That'll send you to prison for a good amount of time.
Just doing that.
Just sawing it off. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if things have changed, but I just remember when I was running around with hoodlums and shit, a sawed-off shotgun alone could get you 10 years, and every piece of ammunition you had for it could add another 2 to 5.
No shit.
Yeah, very, very illegal in California. Very, very illegal. So
well,
yeah.
Death Valley Meth Lab really personified the desert experience in the house show
Right.
scene,
I'm glad
I
you
think.
got a warm welcome to my home.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never heard of that, and that is insanely awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else funny that happened out there. We definitely played like a few house shows out there where we're playing and then we're leaving. Because we were I mean, we were like, 18-year-old kids from South Bay and like West Side. Sometimes we'd show up to a house show and we'd be like, I'm a scared white boy. I don't think I should.
There's a lot of big Mexican.
Yeah, and I was like, this is like, I'm currently like faced with my privilege, and I'm just as like a fucking West Sidean white boy who just like grew up thinking that going to shows was like one thing, and then I'd go to another show, but it was cool because like you'd realize by the end of it that like it was all the same.
No, yeah.
And like,
but it's very intimidating when the first thing you walk in and you just see a line of dudes up against a fence, and they each have like a 30-pack of Bud Light at their feet.
Yeah.
And they're just posted up, and it just looks like they're waiting for something to happen so they can start shit.
They were.
And they always so a couple of shows that I did in the desert, I remember I played a show at this little place called Cafe Abuelita.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Hoods and First Blood.
Oh my God.
In this tiny,
I'm already scared.
This tiny little cafe.
Yeah.
Called Abuelita. So
Right.
it was somebody's fucking grandma. It was named after somebody's grandma, and they Mexican hot chocolates and coffees and cans of soda and then pastries, and that's what they did.
Right.
And then one of my friends convinces them to book a show there. And
see, that's what I mean. Just going back to like, why were these shows at these places?
No, it doesn't make any sense. But it happened within the first 5, because Hoods played last. So in the first 5 minutes of First Blood set, some dude from NorCal was in the middle of the pit with a machete.
There you go.
And he was like clinking against the floor, so all the sparks would fly and shit. And I was probably 19 at the time. I'm just like, I'm good. I'm gonna go stand outside. Fuck this shit. Like, I can hear the music from outside. Yeah. I do not need to prove that I'm this tough where I'm gonna stand on the edge of a pit because there's a guy with a fucking machete.
Yeah.
And then another dude got in there swinging the hi-hat stands and shit.
Oh my God. But yeah, you'd see that kind of shit. Did you ever go to shows at the Cobalt?
Yeah.
Dude. That place was scary. Like that was the first time I ever got knocked out, was at during and it's like Hero and like Snake Eyes and like a Terror show, or maybe like Donnybrook played.
Terror and Donnybrook.
All of those shows were kind of like interchangeable, although like because like those bands would play there like every week. Yeah. And I remember being so fucking stoked to be seeing these bands because like I was so into it, but I was scared of it. But that's what made me keep coming back. There's something about like being at those like hardcore shows where you're like, danger is imminent, but I love this.
That sense of danger was part of the rush of going to the shows.
Totally.
You and I could talk about shows all day.
Totally.
And I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more, but I want to get into some of these questions that are kind of like the basis of what the podcast is. The worst. So some of the worst experiences, some embarrassing experiences.
For sure.
So worst band that you've been in.
Whoa. Do bands that I've filled in for count?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you were in it for even a brief amount of time.
Get me in trouble.
Fuck yeah, it's gonna get you in trouble. Let's do it.
Maybe without naming names.
Okay.
There have been bands that I've filled in for that asked me to join, and I could not say no fast enough.
Yeah.
Like I played like 3 shows with them, and I was like, they were like, dude, we loved like the vibe on stage. Like, are you interested in like, And I'd be like, no, sorry, like, thanks, you guys are
Thanks.
good dudes, but
fun. Got it.
I don't want to play with. I don't want to open up for Thursday anymore. So stuff like that, things like that. Where I was like, like, cool guys, you guys are cool, but like, this is not the music that I want to be playing. Spending my time.
Yeah, and a lot of time, especially if you're opening for somebody like that, then you're on the road a lot more because there's a high demand for the shows, and
if you're like, and you can only do like these dudes are chill thing if you're not getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing. If the dudes were like, do you want to come on tour with us and we'll give you lots of money to do so, and there'll be a bus and it'll be really chill, I'd be like, okay, I don't mind doing that. But if it's like more of the same, like we're gonna be struggling kind of thing,
you better fucking go sell merch at the end of this so we have gas money nights.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
I'm good. And I hate putting myself like, above anything, but like, after doing it for such a long time, though. For sure. That definitely is hard to do when you come from like the punk hardcore thing. You're always like, yeah, dude, whatever, I'll sleep on the floor for forever. and then you like hit like 30 and you're like, I don't want to be on the floor anymore.
No, dude,
I don't even want to be in a hotel room with anybody else.
Yeah. I like my space. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
dude, I was in a lot of bands, but I came to realize that I was the reason that they were bad. I didn't have any musical talent.
I actually have an answer for this.
I just had good friends.
Well, there you go.
I didn't have so shout out to my friends for putting up with me, because I'd be playing bass in hardcore bands. I was in 3 hardcore bands. I was in a band called Killjoy. I was in a band called Hooligan. Actually, if you want to be specific, it was X Hooligan X.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I was in a band called Combat Carl, because we fucking love Toy Story.
See?
And
might have played a show at DNF, Duke Nukem Forever.
See, as soon as you said Duke Nukem Forever, I was like, dude, that would have been the best show ever.
Mid-2000s goofy hardcore was like a thing.
And the fun thing about Combat Carl is it was like super just beat down hardcore with goofy ass lyrics.
I have an answer for worst band, actually.
Okay.
Objectively, this is the answer. No diss to any of my friends who were in this band who might eventually listen to this. But I was in a ska band when I was in 9th and 10th grade called the Shenanigans.
Yes, dude.
And
yes.
We sucked, but we were cool, because when you're a ska band and there's like 9 of you and and the median age is like 15 and a half. Yeah. Like, you inherently kind of suck, but it's so fun, and ska as like a music is so like, and we're talking like 2002.
I was gonna say we're around the same age. Yeah. So I like
maybe a little earlier.
There was a time in my like early high school years where ska was really fucking popular.
Oh, dude, I butt chugged ska. Like, when I was like 8th, 9th grade. Oh, yeah, I could not believe that shit. Like, I was like, we were like all Aqua Cadets. We like all went to go like to Orange County to see like Real Big Fish and like whatever Codename Rocky and
saw Real Big Fish with
RX Bandits.
Yeah, dude, fuck yeah.
So yeah, like, but the Shenanigans probably was like the worst band I was in, just because like most of our songs were covers and we couldn't even get those right. And also like when you're a bunch of punk kids and you like enlist like 4 kids from marching band to like play horns in your band, those kids might not even be the best like at those horn instruments, so like they were like out of tune, and sometimes we're like, but like when horns can't play when someone's like not hitting the right note with like a trombone, and
that's like a big deal in ska.
Yeah. It's not like hitting a wrong note like with a guitar, which people do notice, but it's like,
that's why I played bass, because no one really fucking cared if I.
The Sid Vicious, you just turn yourself down. Yeah,
100%. I was up there for looks.
Yeah.
And which is weird, because like I can't jump or look good.
Love a good jump.
Yeah, dude. My jump was like 2 inches off the ground. Like, but yeah, dude. So I did those bands, and then I was in like this really weird psychedelic rock band that we actually had a mini documentary made about us.
Oh, that's cool.
And I played drums in the band, and they literally had to teach me every little bit of drums I played.
That's cool. I mean, sometimes it's that can lead to some cool results.
Yeah. I mean, now I know basics of drumming.
Yeah, there you
which
go.
is dope. And we had fun doing it. There was like 20 of us revolving in this band.
Right.
And it was super pretentious. There'd be like somebody reading a Henry Miller in the background while somebody sings over the top of that.
You know what this is? This is Des vibes.
Oh, it's 100%.
This is Des vibes because my homies from Phoenix, a band called Destruction Unit.
Mm-hmm.
Their brains are fried too, and like through psychedelic exploration and also coming from hardcore, Destruction Unit formed, and these guys would do the same thing. And sometimes I play double drums with them.
Yeah.
We'd do like a 2 drum set setup
Nice.
kind of thing. But those guys are just desert tripper vibe.
Yeah.
People would they would have people just like jump in on the set whenever because they were just
like,
such
yeah,
like,
man, just hop in.
yeah, dude, it's cool.
I remember one time we had a guy play the skateboard. It was he was just smacking the deck and then he'd spin the wheels because it had old bearings and it actually made a noise. Dude, it was so stupid. But I mean, you think about it, I'm having fun with my friends. So in hindsight, we have fun.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But
because you could
was
really, you can do anything you want.
Absolutely.
In these situations, especially when it's like a free band, when everything's kind of like jam session, like it's like that's cool. And I feel like not a lot of people get to experience that. Where that feeling when you're like everyone's just kind of like this might suck, but we're at least all like vibing on something.
Yeah.
We got homie playing the skateboard.
One homeboy's playing a skateboard, another girl's biting an apple, and this guy's crumpling paper. We got something fucking going.
That's heady, dude. That's like musique concrete. Like this is like this is like Carl Schulze shit.
We were starting a fucking revolution. All right, so next one is worst tour destination. Like what city? And it wasn't just one time. What city always sucked?
Yeah, okay. Can be anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere.
A place that really has worn on me over the years is Germany as a country. No diss to Germans, really. As like whatever.
Yeah.
It's just harsh there, and for some reason, when you go as a hardcore band specifically, like Germans can't believe hardcore. So like you're playing like 10 shows in a country the size of like Michigan, like you're just like, what the fuck? I mean, I think it's a little bit bigger than Michigan, but still, there's something about the disconnect, like not just cultural, but mostly it's like a language barrier stuff. So again, I can't get too harsh on it because I understand, but there is something about like the sound guy being like, floor tom, other one. No, it's just like a very like, there's no like, I feel like there's maybe not a word for like maybe or sort of.
Oh, okay.
Or like a little bit.
Everything is just.
It's either this or that. And so like when someone's like, guitar too loud on stage, you will sound bad if you do not turn your guitar down. It's always led to some.
Do I need more vocals? And they're like 9.
Yeah, no, it's just like it's always just led to like this sort of like, come on, man, like why can't you just like chill out?
No, even their language just sounds aggressive.
It's aggressive, and it always just leads to some sort of like miscommunication that gets turned into sort of like, are you fucking with me kind of thing, which honestly, like if you're on like a European tour, like that could happen anywhere just because of like language stuff, but for some reason it always happens in Germany, and you're just like, why are you a dick?
You ever wonder?
They might not even be being a dick.
You ever wonder maybe? And I'm throwing something way out of left field. If it's if it's trickle down meth addiction, because every Nazi soldier was on what they called Panzer Chocolat, which was just chocolate that was infused with fucking most concentrated meth.
I'm not gonna rule it out, but I also think there's a little bit of, especially like if you go play in like punk or hardcore bands where people are very like people have conscious political beliefs, at least you're supposed to.
Yeah.
There's some like very visible guilt still with all of that stuff, even in newer generations that I've found like playing shows there.
Okay.
Like, and it comes out in like really like interesting ways that you wouldn't really, not like, it's not so, because they're obviously like aware of that being a thing. But like, they'll like
they're aware of it. It's just like, no. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they're aware of like the
what happened here?
Well, yeah. Well, there's that, but also like they are maybe overly vocal about things when you're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's bad. You did this.
Yeah.
Like, we get it.
We get it.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
We're just here to play shows.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of harsh. Trying to think anywhere in the States. Don't want to hate too much, but
Yeah, I only drove through Philly once, but I fucking didn't like it.
I like Philly. Philly's cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, I spent some time there. Trash Talk actually lived in Philly for maybe like 3-4 months. In the very early days of us touring, we had like negative money, and we had a tour end on the East Coast, and then we had a tour start 3 months later
Oh, so
on the
you
East
just
Coast,
camped out.
and we didn't have enough money to drive
Yeah.
back to California. And our friend Mook let us live in his basement while he was going to Temple,
Oh, wow.
and he was like 19. I was like 19.
Dude, when I drove through Philly, the main vibe I got was crazy industrial. They worship a fictional character because there's a huge statue of Rocky.
They do.
And
They also have like weird mascots for their teams.
Okay, the mascots are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, Gritty's
but
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but also just the vibe of the streets were, I could get any type of hard drug I want faster than I want it, and it was kind of scary.
I mean,
because
Philly's
I think if
raw,
I lived
for
there,
sure.
I'd die.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Shout outs to Philly for having mascots that are like fictional characters
Yeah.
and aren't like, but also are mascots for like teams with like the most like degenerate fan bases of all time.
Oh, dude, they're fucking
like
wild.
like Flyers fans are like crazy degenerate people. Like, they're just like nuts, like psycho savages.
Yeah, dude, it's like, yeah. It's
And
like,
then they
they're
have like this
worse
like
than Raider fans.
they
Gotcha.
have this like anyway
Yeah. No, dude, I know. They're fucking, they're crazy.
people.
All right, so getting down into the nitty gritty end of the episode, let's do one more of these, and then we'll move into a which is worst.
Okay, love that.
Or which is worse. Fucking Chad. Worst genre of music.
Worst genre of music.
Yeah, what genre of music do you absolutely hate?
I like a lot of stuff, so this is kind of
me
hard.
too.
Maybe like the first thing that comes to mind is like a style of like gent or something, or like like a hybrid of metal that I just can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's like close enough to something I would like.
Yeah,
but there's something
but
about
then
it where I'm
something
like,
turns where you're
I
just like,
hate
oh,
you.
what the fuck is
like
that?
I don't like this. Like something like that. That's actually I think closer to like than like, because I feel like if I don't know anything about it, I'm like, I might not like the way it sounds, but like there might be something about it that's kind of cool, like. But like when it comes to something like that where it's like close enough, but it's like just missing the mark totally, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have one that I'm gonna say is definite,
Okay.
like an absolute truth for me,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna look right into the camera and just say, white boy reggae is the worst fucking thing.
We were talking about ska.
Yeah, and ska. I'll put ska above that any day.
Right.
But white boy reggae, I do not want to hear a white guy say "irie"
Right.
and say "ting" instead of "thing." This is not your
That's
job.
not
I mean,
okay.
it's just it just doesn't sound. I mean, at least with actual reggae, you can actually feel that they mean what they're saying.
Well, exactly.
And then these are just white kids that like to get high and then probably aren't that great at their instruments. So a quick couple upstrokes and
dude.
And I fucking can't stand it. So
I'll echo
Sublime and Dirty Heads and
Whoa, Sublime, come on.
I like Sublime's Sublime's cover of Hope by the Descendants.
Pretty good.
I enjoy that. I think
I
that's
like some
decent.
Sublime songs, but I didn't like Sublime. Interestingly enough, I didn't like Sublime when I liked ska, because the kids who used to pick on me in high school liked Sublime.
Fuckers.
They didn't like the Aquabats, but they liked Sublime, so I was like, that's like bro music. But it's kind of grown on me. I've actually found myself being like, dang, these guys, it's not so bad.
All right, I still like you. Okay, now which is worse? Okay, only being able to use dildos as drumsticks,
Mm-hmm.
or only being able to eat drumsticks as your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I mean chicken and the type of ice cream. So those two things are all you can eat for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Or you can only use dildos as your drumsticks.
What kind of dildos? How big, and like, are they like the floppy ones, or are
Yeah,
they
the floppies.
Okay. Yeah, those, I guess. It
Yeah?
would suck. But like, I don't feel like eating wood would be very nice to do.
No, like drumsticks, like chicken drumsticks. Chicken
I thought you
drumsticks
wanted me to eat the drumstick.
or drumstick ice cream. like one of those, but that's all you can eat for the rest of your life. Or you just have to learn how to play with dildos in bands.
I like
you survive?
food. I like food more than I like drumming. So
But,
that's kind of what it comes down to, right?
Well,
Like,
I mean, a little bit, but also it's just, will you not go crazy just eating one thing for the rest of your life?
I think I definitely would.
Or can you master the dildo?
that might be cooler. I think I might just try to master the dildo to be the first person to do that.
I mean, it would be something that I'd
Or at
fucking
least
pay
first
to
person
see.
that I know.
I mean, and also just a quick callback. Who in your band was the guy that went to the store to buy the dildos for the shows to throw them at people? Or did you just collect them afterwards?
They would go together. A lot of those guys, like some of the guys in the band would go together.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
we'd all go and pick out it was like a band activity.
Yeah, band activity.
Yeah, and
Bonding.
we had like a bunch of different ones, different races and different sizes and different widths, and we had a really, really big, like
Diversify.
14-inch one.
Nice.
And that one got stolen one time at the Cobalt.
At the Cobalt. Yeah.
Someone stole it, and then dude, this is funny actually. This kid stole our dildo, and then one of his friends snitched him out because we were pissed because that thing was like $130 or something like that. We all like
$130 dildo.
we all just
Goddamn.
went in on it, right? And we found out who it was a couple days later, and I got the kid's phone number. And I'd been going to a lot of hardcore shows, right? So how do hardcore kids deal with anything? They puff up and act tough.
Oh yeah.
So I called this guy up, and I was like,
Fuck's up.
I was like, "What's up, dude? Heard you got our dildo. Don't let me catch you at one of our shows ever again. It's gonna be a big fucking problem. We better get that dildo back." And then, dude we got it back. I intimidated someone to give me a dildo back.
That is so funny because it's the last thing. I mean, usually when we would call somebody up and it would be like, "Oh, hey, you disrespected my friend," or why'd you touch my chick? Blah blah blah.
It's like,
but nah, dude. Where the fuck's my dildo?
Where's my dildo, homie?
Right.
Yeah, it worked too.
Hey man,
He was shook.
Props.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Which is worse? For the rest of your life, you're only allowed to drink Casamigos tequila neat,
Oh.
or Trump vodka in cocktails.
Is that Trump vodka a real thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude. Wow.
I mean, it's been discontinued,
right.
but I definitely know a store in Palm Springs that still has bottles.
Fuck. Only Trump vodka.
You can make cocktails with it. You can't use any other liquor. So you basically a nice blend.
I'm gonna go with the Trump vodka.
Yeah.
Because
I honestly I was going the same way.
Yeah, Casamigos is just not neat. Come on.
I just don't want to drink fucking vanilla glycerin water.
Dude,
neat.
The other day in my hockey group chat, we got in the conversation of rum, and none of them really, drink rum the way that we do.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Sam, give me some recommendations." And I was like, "Oh man." And then one of the guys just pops up and he's like, "Dude, Selvaray is the best."
Ooh, damn. Hey.
And I was like,
fuck. let me flex for you really quick.
It's like, and I was like,
when we first opened Bootlegger, Selvaray was our well.
Oh,
Selvaray, dude, back then, Selvaray was $9 a bottle. And
that's not surprising.
And no, I know,
yeah.
but the funny thing is they hired Bruno Mars to be their, or he bought into the company.
Yeah,
and now he's part owner. So now they sell it as like this luxury brand. I just recently saw what the new bottles
wasn't a
look
luxury brand
No,
before.
No, it was a well brand.
Dude, well that's what the well was at ISC when I started there.
Mm.
And I had never even seen it before. I was like, "What is this? This looks kind of nice." And I tried some and I was like, "Wow."
Yeah. And
this is bad.
That cacao rum they make is absolute trash. I remember the guy trying to sell me on it, and he's like, "Oh no, you probably don't want to use for a cocktail. Just drink it with a little bit of salt on the rim."
Whoa!
I was like, "I don't want to drink chocolate rum and salt.
Ugh.
Fuck out of here, you psycho." Dude. Oh yeah, just one more thing, and this is outside of the which is worst category. But did you hear about kids on TikTok just learning about who Eminem is and trying to get him canceled?
I kind of did hear about this.
Okay, dude, it's kind of funny because it's not even like Slim Shady LP Eminem. Well, that's what I thought it was at first.
Which would
but
make
then when I read a little
sense.
bit more into it, they're upset in that song that he did with Rihanna in like 2011. Where he says something like if you cheat on me, I'll tie you to the bed and burn the house down. They want to cancel him for that.
Right. Well, it's like, look, I hear you on that, right? But whatever. But it's like, dude, check out the other stuff. He says all sorts of crazy things.
Dude, when he was literally and not just the biggest star in hip hop, but the biggest star was when he was saying the most heinous shit.
Totally.
He had people bleaching their hair blonde when he was calling everybody this, that,
dude,
and doing those skits and all. I mean, he's been a wild boy for like 30 years, and that's the one they get him on?
One? Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I just thought that was fucking crazy.
That is crazy, actually. I mean, that was a wild time, too, because you had like lots of like shocking comedy stuff coming out too. Like South Park was getting really big.
Yeah, it was getting huge.
And like, time. It wasn't like out of the norm to be shocking like that, especially in that late 90s, like early 2000s.
Different era, but
like that's so funny that people are upset about that. But I guess,
it's just funny what catches on.
Throw it on the pile.
Yeah, it's just really funny nowadays what catches on and what lights people up right now.
It's true,
and especially right now because everybody's home and bored.
Totally.
And it's so much easier for them to find shit to
sure.
be upset about. But yeah, man, it's been, dude, this has been fun.
Yeah, dude.
And
I've had a blast.
I think that it's been a good show because I didn't even get through half of my questions.
Sick.
So we just had a good talk.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I love that, dude.
Because, I didn't.
We can get through the next questions another time.
I'll judge my guests in the future by how fast I have to go to the questions.
Right.
Like, are you that fucking boring that I have to carry this conversation?
Totally.
But my friend,
hey,
we nailed it. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it.
You want to tell anybody about where they can find your music or anything?
Yeah. Check out the label is called Maggot Stomp, Southern California death metal label. Put out an LP for Kommand recently. Check it out. They got like Bandcamp, and you can buy the records there too. Yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on right now.
Hell yeah!
And hopefully we get back
some
to
tie-dye.
Yeah, buy some. Yeah, check out some tie-dyes.
Keep my man working at least.
Yeah,
let him make some money.
Everyone be safe so that we can start playing gigs again.
Yeah, dude.
I want to do that.
I got the microchip in my arm and I feel fantastic.
You got chipped?
Oh, dude, I got chipped.
I'm trying to get chipped.
I got chipped.
I want to see my mom, dude.
And the funny thing is, dude, the funny thing is, I have friends that are like, oh, I can't believe you let them put that tracking device in you. And I'm like, fucking homie, you walk around with a cell phone in your pocket. Yeah. What do you think that thing is?
Yeah. You're like,
so it doesn't matter.
You just respond in
Go get
Russian.
The goddamn vaccine so we can all do fun shit again. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Y'all know who I am because you tuned in. You can follow me, Chad Austin, on every social media in case you tuned in for this guy, which I hope you did. Also, subscribe to The Worst, and we will see you next episode. And I'll have Sam back again because we got through this way too easily.
Yeah, we got more.
Yeah, we got a lot more. All right, thank you.
Thank you.